There comes a point in life where you have to look around at your relationships, your habits, your energy, your results, and ask yourself one brutal question. How much of this have I allowed? Because the truth is, you didn't just end up here. You walked here step by step through every decision you made and every behavior you tolerated. We talk a lot about goals, about dreams, about how to achieve success and unlock potential. But we don't talk enough about the other side of the equation, the quiet compromises. The small daily choices that seem harmless in the moment, but slowly shape the person we become. You say, it's just one skipped workout. It's just one missed opportunity. It's just one time I stayed quiet when I should have spoken up. But those moments add up. They compound. And before you realize it, the strong, bold, disciplined version of you has been buried under years of things you simply allowed to exist. What you tolerate is what you become. That's not just a catchy phrase. That's the cold reality. Your life is a reflection of your standards, not what you hoped for, not what you posted online, what you actually allowed to happen day after day, even when you knew it wasn't right. You tolerated laziness, and now it's part of your routine. You tolerated distractions, and now your dreams feel distant. You tolerated being disrespected, and now you feel invisible in your own story. You tolerated fear, and now you're paralyzed every time it's time to grow. We all have pain, we all face failure, but the people who rise, the people who evolve, the people who change their lives, those are the ones who stop tolerating what holds them back. They draw the line, they raise the standard, they say, no more. Because here's what nobody tells you. You teach life how to treat you by what you accept. If you accept low energy, you'll never operate with fire. If you accept weak habits, your results will always be average. If you accept toxic relationships, your spirit will always feel heavy. If you accept your own excuses, you'll never trust yourself again. The world isn't punishing you, it's just responding to the rules you set for it. And if your rules say it's okay to settle, then life will give you every opportunity to do exactly that. But what if, starting today, you made a new decision? What if you finally told yourself, I'm done tolerating what doesn't serve me? What if you stopped saying, maybe later, and started living like right now? What if you stopped apologizing for wanting more and started demanding it from yourself first? You see, real change doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with refusal. The refusal to keep lying to yourself. The refusal to let another year pass in regret. The refusal to keep being the watered-down version of who you were meant to be. You don't need to find yourself. You need to stop tolerating the version of yourself that isn't real, the one that keeps scrolling instead of building, the one that stays quiet instead of setting boundaries, the one that fears failure more than it fears being stuck. That version is not the real you, that's the tolerated you. And here's the most powerful thing you need to understand right now. The life you want isn't waiting to be discovered, it's waiting to be built. The person you want to become isn't out of reach. They're buried under all the things you've been letting slide. Your greatness is not a dream, it's a decision to stop tolerating average, a decision to rise. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Growth always is. You're going to have to say no to things that once brought you comfort. You're going to have to distance yourself from people who don't respect your new standards. You're going to have to wake up earlier, work harder, speak louder, and fight for yourself in ways you never have before. But what's the alternative? More years of maybe, more months of saying someday, more mornings where you wake. You become what you allow every day, in every moment. You're teaching the world and, more importantly, yourself, what is acceptable in your life. Not by what you say, but by what you tolerate. And make no mistake, what you tolerate, you eventually accept. What you accept, you settle into. And what you settle into, you become. You didn't become tired overnight. You became tired because you tolerated skipping workouts, poor sleep, and fast comfort over long-term energy. You didn't become frustrated suddenly. It happened because you tolerated chaos, distractions, people who drain you, and moments where you knew better but didn't do better. The greatest tragedy isn't failure. It's slow compromise, the kind that sneaks in quietly, that whispers, it's not a big deal. That convinces you that it's okay to let your standards drop, just for now. But just for now becomes forever. You give laziness 1 inch and it takes your ambition. You let one bad habit stay and it invites more. If you look around at your life and don't like what you see, stop blaming the world. Start looking at what you've been tolerating. Have you allowed people to speak to you with disrespect and stayed silent? Have you let your dreams collect dust while you scroll, binge, and waste days that could change your future? Here's the brutal truth. Life doesn't change until your standards do. You will never have a disciplined, powerful, focused life if you keep tolerating weakness, distraction, and excuses. Raise your standards, not in your words, but in your actions. It's time to tell yourself the truth. Are you living the life you want or the life you've tolerated? Are you proud of the person in the mirror or just comfortable with them? You want to change your life? Start here. Stop tolerating the version of you that's playing small. That version is easy, but it's not who you were meant to be. Raise your expectations. Refuse to accept less than excellence from yourself. Cut out what drains you. Challenge your patterns. Demand more. Because the moment you stop tolerating mediocrity, you start creating greatness. The lie of comfort is slowly destroying you. Comfort feels good, doesn't it? It feels safe. It feels warm. But here's the truth. Comfort is the cage that's keeping you from everything you say you want. It's the silent killer of progress. And the more you tolerate it, the more it destroys the fire inside you. You say you'll wake up early, but when the alarm rings, you hit snooze because it's more comfortable. You promise yourself you'll work on that project, but when it's time to start, you choose a distraction because it's easier. You talk about goals, but settle for habits that contradict them because the effort is uncomfortable. And every time you choose comfort over growth, you're voting for your limitations. You're reinforcing the version of yourself that avoids, escapes, and delays. You don't fail because you're incapable. You fail because you tolerated comfort until it became your identity. Let's call it out. Comfort is addictive, and the more you feed it, the weaker you become. Your dreams don't die in one blow. They die in every comfortable choice you make that buries your potential a little deeper. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're slowly building a life you won't recognize. One filled with regret, what-ifs, and a quiet voice that says, I could have been more. No one becomes great by staying in their comfort zone. Champions, leaders, legends, they all broke free from the grip of comfort. They tolerated pain. They tolerated challenge. They embraced discomfort, not because they enjoyed it, but because they knew it was the only path to growth. You've got to become allergic to comfort. You've got to wake up every day and say, comfort will not control me. You have to recognize that the life you want lives on the other side of what you're avoiding. So next time you're tempted to take the easy path, ask yourself, am I reinforcing the life I want or the cause? A life I'm stuck in. Stop tolerating the lies of comfort. Choose discipline over ease, growth over stillness, purpose over pleasure. Because comfort never creates greatness. It only convinces you to stop reaching for it. Standards shape your identity. Look around at your life right now. Your habits, your energy, your income, your confidence. All of it is shaped by your standards, not your goals, not your dreams, your standards. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you settle for. What you tolerate becomes your identity. If you tolerate excuses, you become someone who never follows through. If you tolerate average effort, you become someone who blends in, not someone who stands out. If you tolerate negative self-talk, you become someone who believes their own lies. You may not even realize it's happening because standards aren't always shouted. They're whispered in quiet moments. It's okay if I miss the gym today. I'll try harder tomorrow. One more scroll won't hurt. These small moments become patterns, and those patterns become your life. The real danger? You get used to it. You get used to underperforming. You get used to not expecting much from yourself. And slowly, your standards fall, not because you're weak, but because you stopped guarding the gates. Your standards are the guardrails of your destiny. They keep you aligned with your higher self. And the moment you lower them, you give life permission to treat you like you're not serious. You stop demanding more. You stop showing up fully. And that is the beginning of decline. Want to change your life? Raise your standards. Make excellence non-negotiable. Make discipline your baseline. Make self-respect your default setting. Stop letting temporary emotions make permanent decisions. People say they want change, but change isn't found in motivation. It's found in standards. In the line you draw that says, this is who I am now. This is what I no longer tolerate. Because when your standards rise, your results follow, not immediately, but inevitably. So don't just dream of a better life. Build it with higher standards. Tolerance trains people how to treat you. You may not realize it, but you're training the people around you every day, not by what you say, but by what you tolerate. Every time you stay silent when disrespected, every time you accept being overlooked, every time you say it's fine when it's not, you're writing a silent script for others to follow. People don't treat you based on what you deserve. They treat you based on what you allow. If you allow disrespect, it becomes routine. If you tolerate dishonesty, it becomes expected. If you keep giving and never set boundaries, people start believing that's your role. And here's the painful truth. It's not always their fault. It's yours for training them to believe that was okay. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about protecting your peace. When you say no more, you're not being rude. You're being clear. You're declaring that you have standards and you honor them. So many people stay quiet to keep the peace. But what peace is there when you're constantly at war with yourself? When you're walking on eggshells, giving more than you get, and smiling through what's breaking you? You teach people how to treat you by what you reinforce. And if you don't demand respect, you won't get it. If you don't model honesty, you won't receive it. If you don't set the tone, someone else will, and it won't serve you. It's time to reclaim that power. Speak up, say what you mean, walk away from what violates your values. Raise the standard, not just in your life, but in your relationships. Because the world treats you based on the script you hand it. If you want a new response, write a new script. Stop tolerating less than what you know you deserve. Discipline begins where tolerance ends. There's no secret formula to success. There's no shortcut, no hack, no secret door. It all comes down to this one word, discipline. And discipline doesn't begin when you feel like it. It begins the moment you stop tolerating your own excuses. You can read every self-help book on the planet, follow every motivational page on social media, and make a list of all your goals. But if you keep tolerating laziness, inconsistency, and delay, you will never cross the finish line. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what have you been tolerating? Sleeping in when you promised to wake up early? Starting something and never finishing it? Skipping workouts? Cheating on your diet? Quitting when things get tough? That's not discipline, that's self-betrayal. And self-betrayal is the root of regret. Because deep down, you know you're capable of more. But you keep letting the weaker version of yourself make the decisions. The version that chooses comfort, distraction, and momentary pleasure. Discipline isn't punishment. It's the highest form of self-respect. It says, I will not allow my lower self to dictate my life. It says, I care enough about my future to suffer for it now. And make no mistake, there is suffering either way. The suffering of discipline or the suffering of regret. You choose. Stop saying, I'll do it later. Later is a lie. Later becomes never when you tolerate procrastination. Stop saying, it's not the right time. The right time doesn't exist when your standards are low. Stop saying, I'll start next week. You've said that before. Where did it get you? You need to draw a line. Today, not tomorrow, not next Monday. Today. No more tolerating missed opportunities. No more tolerating wasted hours. No more tolerating the version of you that settles for less. Discipline is a daily decision, one step at a time, one choice at a time. And each time you choose it, you build strength. You build trust in yourself. You build a life that's not built on tolerance but on power. So decide right now, what will you no longer tolerate from yourself? Because that's where your discipline is born and your future begins. Part 6. Silence doesn't equal strength. They tell you, stay silent, be humble, don't cause waves. But sometimes silence isn't strength, it's surrender. And if you've been tolerating things in silence, thinking that makes you strong, think again. There's a difference between patience and passivity, between grace and weakness. When you see things that are wrong within you or around you and stay silent, you become part of the problem. You say nothing when someone disrespects you. You say nothing when you miss a goal you know you could have hit. You say nothing when you catch yourself breaking your own word. And every time you stay silent, you give away your voice. You shrink your power. Strength isn't just about enduring. It's about standing, speaking, choosing, saying, this is not acceptable, not anymore. You might think you're keeping the peace by staying quiet, but peace without truth is just pressure. It builds inside you, the resentment, the frustration, the shame, and eventually it erupts, either through pain, burnout, or breakdown. You weren't created to be passive, you were created to lead. But leadership begins with owning your voice. And if you don't use it to stand up for yourself, who will? Ask yourself, what have I tolerated in silence? What have I buried, hidden, suppressed just to keep others comfortable? You're not helping anyone by being quiet. You're just hurting yourself. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to speak, even when your voice shakes. It's standing up to your own patterns, calling yourself out, saying, I'm not okay with this anymore. Whether it's your habits, your relationships, your self-image, silence is not the answer. Action is. Start speaking life into yourself. Start speaking truth to your problems. Start saying what you really need. Be. Comfort zones are death traps in disguise. Everyone wants success, but most people never achieve it. Not because they're not talented, not because they're unlucky, but because they live trapped in the same four walls of comfort. Comfort zones are sneaky. They don't feel like prisons. They feel like safety, familiarity, routine, but they kill growth. they keep you small, and worst of all, they convince you that it's normal to stay there. You've tolerated this comfort for too long. The same thoughts, the same habits, the same level of effort. Deep down, you know it, you feel it, you are meant for more, but you keep putting it off. Why? Because growth hurts. It requires effort, it demands risk. And your comfort zone whispers, stay here, it's easier, it's safer. But here's the truth, nothing grows in ease. Everything you want is outside that zone. You won't gain confidence staying in your comfort zone. You won't build a legacy, launch your vision, transform your body, or heal your heart by staying comfortable. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to do what scares you, what challenges you, what stretches you. Comfort is killing your edge, and the more you tolerate it, the more you numb your hunger. Step into the unknown. Sign up for what terrifies you. Wake up earlier, push harder, speak louder, say no to what drains you, say yes to what scares you. That's where your growth lives. Remember, you don't break limits by staying within them. So the next time your mind tells you to play it safe, ask yourself this: am I building the life I want or just tolerating the one I'm stuck in? Break out, push further, because greatness is never born in comfort. It's born when you refuse to tolerate smallness any longer. The life you deserve starts with what you reject. You've been told to focus on what you want, visualize it, chase it. But here's the missing truth. The life you deserve doesn't just come from what you pursue. It comes from what you reject. Every time you say no more, you create space for something better. Every time you walk away from what breaks you, you walk closer to what builds you. Your future doesn't just depend on your ambition, it depends on your intolerance. Stop tolerating the toxic people who drain you, the habits that keep you average, the thoughts that sabotage your confidence, the routines that waste your time. Stop letting them occupy space in your life. They're costing you your potential. It's not enough to dream. Everyone has dreams. What matters is what you're willing to eliminate, what you refuse to allow. Look at the most powerful people in the world. They didn't get there by saying yes to everything. They got there by saying no, by rejecting excuses, by refusing comfort, by removing distractions, lowering the noise, and narrowing their focus. You want to elevate? Then eliminate. The future you deserve is waiting, but only if you stop tolerating the present that's holding you back. You know exactly what needs to go. You feel it when you lie in bed at night. You see it when you look in the mirror. You hear it in the quiet voice that says, this isn't it. So act on that voice. Burn the bridges behind you. Cut off the dead weight. Say goodbye to the weaker version of you. Not tomorrow, now. Because the moment you stop tolerating what you've outgrown is the moment your real life begins. You've heard every word. You've faced the truth head on. And now you're standing at a crossroads. One path is familiar. It's the one you've been walking. The path where you tolerate what drains you, where you accept less than what you're capable of, where your standards are shaped by fear, fatigue, and convenience. And the other path? It's uncomfortable, it demands more, it calls for discipline, boundaries, hard conversations, and fierce self-respect. But it's also the path where your real life begins, because you don't become great by staying the same. You become great when you stop allowing the habits, thoughts, and people that hold you back. You become powerful when you make a choice. A final choice to stop tolerating what you've outgrown. It doesn't matter where you've been. It doesn't matter how long you've allowed comfort to take the wheel. What matters is that right now you can take it back. You can say, no more to wasted time. No more to letting others define my worth. No more to believing I'm not ready, not enough, or not worthy. No more to pretending I'm okay with playing small. You're not here to be average. You're not here to survive. You're here to rise, to evolve, to become the version of yourself that isn't held back by guilt, fear, or weakness, but driven by purpose, clarity, and courage. Understand this. Your future is watching. It's waiting, but it won't wait forever. Every moment you tolerate what breaks you, you delay the life that could fulfill you. This is your wake-up call, your reminder that you don't have to settle, that starting today, you can elevate every part of your life by one simple decision. Refuse to tolerate anything that doesn't align with your highest self. Raise your standards, cut the noise, choose discomfort over regret, and don't just make promises, build patterns, because who you are becoming is not found in what why. Our dream, it's found in what you allow. And from this moment forward, let the world know exactly what you will no longer allow, not by shouting, not by writing posts, but by living it. Let your discipline speak. Let your results shout. Let your standards rise so high they pull every part of your life up with them. You deserve more. but you won't receive more until you demand more from yourself, for yourself. So ask yourself this final question as this video ends. What am I still tolerating that I need to walk away from today? Find the answer, then act, because that one decision could change everything.